Good. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Women's Maximum Fitness Podcast. I'm super excited to have my guest today, IFBB Pro Melissa Teich. Melissa just qualified for the Olympia in the last week or two, I believe, which is very exciting. The women's physique for the Olympia is going to be fantastic. How geeked are you?
Super geeked. I actually qualified at the Rising Phoenix in December.
Oh, okay.
And then I made a last minute decision to do it again this year just because it's close to home and I'm already conditioned. So I was like, why not? I need a little warm up before the Olympia anyway. So,
sorry, you were already qualified. Were you top?
Yeah.
Is it top 5 or, oh, I get it. It was after the Olympia. So it was I got what you're going. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it was postponed till December because of COVID stuff. So
yeah. So how are you doing today? Thanks for being on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Doing good. Got up, did my cardio, and here we are.
You're like in the depths. How many, is it 3 weeks to the Olympia?
Yeah. 3 weeks on the dot today.
Yeah. Are you tired? Are you doing okay?
I'm hungry, but that's all right. I'm willing to suffer.
Absolutely. Well, let's get started. I usually ask my guests what their athletic background and kind of what they did growing up, as a kid and how that translated into getting into bodybuilding. So if you want to start with just journey from the very beginning, I'd love to hear about that.
So I started as a swimmer. That was really the only sport that I was ever good at. So I swam probably starting in maybe like middle school age. Swam competitively all the way through high school on the high school team as well as a club team. After high school was over, I went to nursing school right out of the gate. So I had a gym membership and I would just go to the gym like any other gym goer. And then I met my original very first coach, which was just a local person who had asked me if I'd ever competed before. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So I trained with her for probably, I want to say maybe like a year. Did good at the local level, but got my ass handed to me on the national stage.
So what did you start out with? And I also want to ask you about swimming because I was a swimmer also. So what did you start off with bodybuilding? Did you do like figure or?
Yeah, started in figure. I did 2 local figure shows and won the overall at both of them. So I went to the USA's and got dead last call out. And I'm pretty sure it was like dead last place. And I was all disappointed after that, of course. So it took like probably 2 months where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I decided like, I'm going to do triathlon. And I dabbled in triathlon for a little bit. I did one, I think it's called the Olympic length triathlon up in Flagstaff. I won my age group, but yeah. I knew that wasn't where my heart was at. It was fun for the time being, but yeah. And then I found my current coach, which is Shelby. Yeah. And here we are.
It's really interesting that, so people always push me to do triathlons as well, because I think if you're a good swimmer, you can really kick ass because that's like most people's weak spot, right?
Right. But that open water swimming, that is no joke. That's way different than any pool swimming I ever did. I literally had a panic attack. Like, no joke. I thought I was drowning. It was terrifying, but and I was being trampled by like hundreds of people. So that was really scary, but I didn't die and I survived and I won my age group. So it turned out being fine. But when you're swimming in black water where you literally can't see anything, and I have no where I was even going, I was like, oh my gosh, I've never trained for this. I've swam in a pool a million times, but
yeah, I think I would probably have a panic attack too. I don't like dark water. I don't think I want to see what's down there, but I don't like not knowing what's down there either.
Well, gosh, I'm never coming up for air. Oh my gosh, because there's people like on top of me, because of course all hundreds of people start at the same time. So just being trampled by like tons of bodies in dark, scary water.
What was the body of water that you swam through? So you're in Arizona.
It was in Flagstaff, Arizona. I don't know exactly what the lake is. It was a lake. I don't know what it was, but it was gross, really gross.
Yeah. You know, I'm in Michigan, and when we went to we're at the museum in Chicago, and there's like an aquarium part that shows like the types of fish that are in the lakes in Michigan, and there's sturgeon that are, I'm like, I did not need to know that these fish were like, it's crazy. Like, it's just crazy how big this, I'm like, this isn't supposed to be in a lake, you know?
Yeah.
And snapping turtles and stuff. You're just like, no.
Ugh.
What was your event with swimming?
I was mostly a butterflyer and a freestyler, all short distance. I never did much over a 200. I was never a long distance swimmer. I would do the 50 free, the 100 free, and the 100 fly and 200 fly were my main.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was a butterflyer as well. I think it helps with, do you have shoulder issues now at all?
Not really. I did dislocate my left shoulder like many years ago, lifting, not swimming. And that's caused me just not a lot of problems, but here and there it gets aggravated. So I don't know if it was just overuse from swimming that caused it to dislocate when I was lifting or whatnot, but I never had any true swimming injuries.
Yeah, very cool. So I was gonna ask you, how old are you now?
I just turned 33.
Okay. All right. Very cool. So you found Shelby. You had at this point, so when you first competed, you must have had a pretty decent base because you, how long had you been sort of training, or did you just kind of go through a prep and that was really the first organized training that you were doing?
I probably started going to the gym in like 2010. Mm-hmm. Started prepping for a first show in 2011. And then stepped on stage for the very first time in Phoenix in 2012, I think it was.
Do you feel like that first year you knew what you were doing in the gym, or do you look back and you think, what the hell?
I think, what the hell? Like, I thought I was like so badass back then. But now I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's almost embarrassing. And then so competed in figure, where I don't ever wear high heels, like ever. So I was super uncomfortable on stage all 3 shows that I did in figure. So I'm like, try not to fall.
Yeah. Yeah, the shoes are like, they're the worst. There's only a couple of people I know that I've interviewed who are like really confident, like, I can handle these. Everybody's like, if they would only get rid of the shoes for figure, I would.
So I was like, I have to go to physique, whether I wanted to or not. What I did, of course, I had to put on some size, but like, I cannot be comfortable on stage and look confident in heels. Like, I feel like I'm going to fall over and break my ankle.
Yeah, they're not good. So you competed in figure, you got your butt kicked at what was the national level show that you did?
I did the USA's that was in 2012. That was right after I had won the 2 overalls locally. I thought, like, oh, I got this in the bag, thinking, 2 little Arizona home base shows, and I'm going to go to the USA's and dominate. No, I got dominated.
Do you feel like when you were up there, was it like conditioning, or was it size, or was it both?
Definitely conditioning. Like, when I look at the pictures, I'm like, I look like a water buffalo. I mean, not to back the coach that I had at the time, I'm not even going to say her name on here, but I don't think she knew how to dry somebody out properly for the stage. So looked like waterlogged and totally flat, because she didn't really carb me up and she didn't dry me out. So I just, And I had no idea. I was brand new at it. So to me, I thought I was doing the right thing. But
Yeah.
when I looked at pictures, I'm like, I'm almost embarrassed that those pictures are on the internet. At least they're under my maiden name. So unless people don't know my maiden name, they'll never find them.
I kind of was looking back at your Instagram. You don't have a lot of like, I don't think there's pictures of that. Like, you should put them up as befores at least. So people
with the first show that I did in figure, I looked pretty decent. I mean, I had abs that were showing at least. So that one I've posted before because I'm not totally embarrassed by it. But the ones from the USA are like, no.
It's so funny. I think that people would admire their transparency to understand where you came from and that you fumbled on the, at the beginning or whatever. I think a lot of times when people think like, those first shows too, is you're just not lean enough either, right? Like you look kind of smooth. You woke up in the morning, you're like, I look really great. And then as soon as you got a little bit of water or whatever, it just all smoothed out. You're like,
yeah,
not lean enough.
But when people are new at it, they think like, oh, they think they've got it in the bag, and then
right.
Like, no.
Right. Because you're like lean in parts and you're looking at the lean parts. Like, oh, I killed it. My like back is so lean. And then you're like, but not my glutes or whatever, So you found Shelby via Instagram. Is that what you just kind of got directed that way?
Yeah. So back at that time was when Jamie Pinder was making a come up in the industry.
Sure.
And I think she had just turned pro and I would follow her journey. So I reached out to her to find out who her coach was. And at that time she was with Shelby. So that's how I reached out to him, and I've been with him ever since. I did take a little hiatus because I was powerlifting, but aside from that, he's been the only prep coach that I've worked with since 2013, 12 or 13.
Yeah, I noticed on your Instagram, you do post a ton of videos, you know what I mean? Like, and you're big into like the big three, which I guess now is because you're big into powerlifting, seems like. Yeah.
That's what helped build the size that I have over the past 3 or 4 years. Because when I did my pro debut in 2016, I was tiny on stage compared to those girls. So I was like, I definitely need to put on some size. And I'd done 3 pro shows before I decided to switch over to powerlifting. And all 3 of them, the best I ever did was 9th place at the Europa in 2016.
What is your height? What's your height?
5'3".
Okay. So the last show that you did with figure, do you know what your stage weight was?
I want to say it was probably around 120.
Okay.
And then that was not super lean.
Right. And then when you did your pro debut, where were you, or when you got your pro card, where was your weight? 117. So where are you at now?
142.
Wow. How much size did you put on, like pounds wise, do you think, when you took that time off? Because that happened through that transition of or the hiatus with powerlifting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably, I mean, like actual muscle weight or just weight?
Whatever you.
I like 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Because I usually in my off season, when I'm just like, I still eat what I'm supposed to eat, but when I'm a little bit fluffier, I sit around like 155, 160.
Okay.
Right now, obviously I'm getting ready for show. So
yeah,
I'm a bit smaller, but my strength is maintaining. So that's good.
Yeah. Oh, that's very good. I mean, if you can hold on to that, especially towards the end, it helps to mitigate, the fatigue a little bit, if you at least feel strong for your training.
But I'd say at least a good 20 pounds of stage weight in those 3 to 4 years that I took off.
Oh, so it was several years that you, so you competed in December. When did you compete? Let's go back a minute and cover these last couple of years. So you you competed, when was the last time you competed before December?
In 2017, I did the Arizona Pro, the same show, the Rising Phoenix. 16? My husband says 16. Okay. It was 16 or 17, one or the other.
Okay.
And again, got dead last. And then I was bitter. I'm not going to lie, I was bitter as hell.
Wow.
So I drove home and I was like, you know what? I just need to do something else.
Yeah.
So then I explored my options and I'm like, I'm decently strong. Maybe I should try powerlifting. So I hired Salazar to program me. She's a high level powerlifting coach and competitor herself. And I admired her training style. And so I got in touch with her and she's programmed me ever since. So every week I get a program from her and I just do what she tells me to do and it's working. So
Shelby doesn't do your training at all?
no, he just does my diet.
Okay. What did you say? What'd you say her name was?
Susan Salazar.
Okay. All right. So what does your training kind of look like, especially your split?
So I train 5 days a week. I have a heavy upper body day, a heavy lower body day. So those would be bench and squat as my main movements. And then usually every other week is like a heavy variation of deadlifting.
Okay.
So I have my main movement, which would be one of the three main lifts, followed by a top set, which is still something heavy. And then usually I have about 6 accessory movements, depending where we're at on the programming. Sometimes the rep range is 8 to 10. Sometimes it's 15 to 20. This past week, it was 25s. So it just depends, but I do 5 days a week. I still work full time as well. So my training is, I train Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I have to do them all in a row, which is not ideal, but I'm used to it now at this point.
Yeah.
So I do usually Wednesday, I do my heavy leg day. Thursday, my heavy upper body day. Friday, my dynamic lower day. So it's again, squats and deadlifts followed by accessories, but working more with like bands, chains, added resistance, but not a lot of weight on the actual bar.
Okay.
And then Saturday, I do my dynamic upper body day. So again, some variation of bench, but using bands, chains, or some other implement, bench block. And then Sunday is just a general accessory day. Usually it's shoulders and triceps or shoulders and biceps, something like that.
Are you logging your lifts? Like, are you doing a progressive overload type of a style or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Susan writes everything for me percentage wise, like, 75% of your one rep, blah, blah, blah. So I know where my are at. So yes.
Yeah. So you're working full time now? Are you still nursing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a nurse now for 10 years and I want to step away from it, but I can't. My head tells me to do it, but my heart tells me not to. I don't know.
Yeah. What is the struggle with that right now for you?
Just nursing in general, or what do you mean?
Yeah. With, you maybe you want to step away from it. Yeah.
So my husband and I own 2 gyms here in Tucson, the Be Strong Powerhouse. So he basically manages and does everything for both facilities by himself. And of course, it would be helpful if I could do more. But my husband's always been a business owner. He's never had to work for somebody else. He's always worked for himself. So for him, it's no big deal. For me, I've always had a boss, had a place I had to show up to, had to be at certain times. So it's hard for me to wrap my head around just kind of doing my own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of security in that. I have a couple of friends that are in that nursing field and they're there's a lot of struggles going on with just hospitals and everything right now.
Actually, I don't work in the hospital anymore. I did for 7 years. I did critical care. Got a little burnt out on that. So now I work in the jail setting. I work in intake at the county jail, and then I do charge nurse once a week. So it's totally different type of nursing. And believe it or not, it's a lot less stressful than working at the hospital, especially probably right now with COVID and whatnot going on. But I enjoy what I do too. So that's another part of it.
What does a day look like? What is it exactly that you do? So you're working with inmates?
Yeah, I work with inmates, but I work Sundays and Monday nights in intake. So I see every new arrestee that comes in.
Okay.
So every arrestee has to be medically cleared, just to basically say they're stable to be here. They should not have any medical complications in the next 24 hours. So I work overnight. I come in at 7, and usually on the average night, I see between 30 and 40 arrestees. And basically all 30 and 40 of them are my responsibility medically until they go to court in the morning. And then the judge decides if they stay with us as an inmate or they get released back to the public. So I screen them, ask them about their medical history, take their vital signs. Of course, the ones that have medical problems, I have to make sure those things are addressed. I enjoy it. A lot of crazy people, a lot of people on drugs, a lot of really drunk people. So there's never a dull moment, to say the least. It's a hopping place all the time.
That sounds like a really cool job. Like, it sounds like, I don't think I would want to quit that either. That's like pretty neat. Is it common? Like, do they have a lot of people that do, I don't know. I'd never heard of somebody doing that type of a job before. So how did you decide that was something that you wanted to do?
Well, when I was working still at the hospital in critical care, one of the nurses I worked with there worked at the jail at that time. And he was like, you just need to come work at the jail. It's totally different. You're going to love it. And I was like, I don't know about that. That sounds kind of crazy. So I interviewed, they gave me a tour. And even during the tour, I was like, I don't know about this. This is way out of my element. But once I got in, about a year into it, I'm on year 3 now, but after about 1 year, I was like, I was comfortable. I just talked to mates like they're normal people, not like they're criminals.
Yeah.
I don't even think about them like they're criminals now. It's kind of weird. Like I treat them like normal patients. Like, I mean, as anybody should, but
yeah. So is it a all male jail? I don't know what.
No,
Okay.
it's male. We house about currently like 1,700 inmates. If the jail were totally full, I think they could get it up to like 2,200. So yeah, and on average, the average night we have about 3 nurses working. So you never know what's going to happen though, because some nights it's super chill and other nights they stir up problems. So
do you, obviously you can handle yourself. Do you have to do that at all?
No, not allowed to do anything physically. Like if something happened, nothing has happened, knock on wood, thus far. If it did, I'd probably just defend myself. I don't care if there's a camera watching me. If you put a hand on me, I'm gonna probably knock you out. But that has not ever happened yet. Usually the COs, the corrections officers, are really attentive, and there's cameras everywhere, so they're watching. When I'm seeing people in the office, they're watching on the camera, so if anything were to happen, and they're quick to act. They take people down quickly when it needs to happen. So I haven't had to do any handling of my own yet, but like you said, a lot of them don't even try to mess with me because oh my God, you're buff.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, I just let them think that I know how to fight, but I really don't.
I'm not like, and by any means as muscular as you are, but people always like, oh, you must be strong. And I'm like, no, these are show muscles. Like they don't do
Yeah, That's what I do not tell them. I'm like, the little do they know these are just for looks. I really don't know if I do a whole lot if I had to. I mean, I could probably, yeah, I don't know.
But thankfully you haven't had to defend
Yeah.
yourself for anything. So that's fascinating though. So I'm curious then how your gyms fared during lockdown. And did your job get more difficult during the pandemic?
So as far as the gym goes, we tried to stay open as long as we could, of course. We made it probably 2 weeks or so into the lockdown with our doors still open. And then somebody had reported us to the police, of course. So the cops came one night and forced my husband to move everybody out of the gym or they were going to arrest him. And so, of course, he had to tell everybody to leave. And then our door system it's key card entry. So we're like, well, how everybody has a key card. How do you want us to make sure that people don't come in here? So they're like, oh, you need to post this, I don't know, this packet of information about the lockdown and potential legality stuff if they're found inside the building. So we posted it on the door like they recommended. And then within an hour, my husband came home, we pulled up the gym camera and there was like 5 people back in there. So clearly that didn't work. And they're like, oh, it's just a misdemeanor. If we get arrested, it's no big deal, whatever.
Yeah.
But we ended up going back down to the gym that night and loaded up, I think like 2 trailers worth of equipment and brought everything to our house. And we let everybody come to our house and train in our backyard for that month. Yeah, it was pretty insane. We had people here around the clock every day. We filled up our garage with the cardio equipment, and then our whole back patio was all lined with all of the racks and the weights, and everybody came together and helped us move everything. So we got it done for that month, and then we moved everything back to the one facility and reopened it. Meanwhile, the other facility we had opened during COVID, like our grand opening was in the middle of it. And we kept it open and we never had a problem there because that one's outside of the city. So it's different jurisdiction, and those cops would roll through all the time and they didn't care.
It's really interesting how different areas of the country were handling things. And I mean, we had one of our gyms, there's like 4 different facilities around town. And one of them, like some Karen kept reporting it being open. It was just like, it's not hurting you or any. Yeah. So
exactly. If you're scared, stay home.
Right.
Yeah. Like, why do you have to ruin everybody else's lives? Right. So.
And it's I mean, people were picking and choosing, kind of what was important to them. So it'd be like, they'd still have people over and gather, if they wanted to like drink and have a party. So it was right. Like, yeah, well, we don't want to get sick. And so we're trying to mentally stay sane by training. Yeah, it was very frustrating.
Like, I can't have 20 people at the gym, but I can have 20 people in my backyard. Okay. So that's right. What we did. Kept everybody happy. I don't think we didn't lose very many members through the whole thing. So yeah. My husband, excuse me, I stand corrected.
What was it?
My husband said we didn't lose any. I said,
oh nice. I mean, for you going out of your way like that and just allowing people to train at your home, I think that's awesome. Yeah.
It was a wild ride, but it worked. So
yeah, very cool. So what about you at the jail during the lockdown? Was your time like because you said it was a month before you guys were opened up again, so was it different over in Arizona then? Or were other things still shut down and you guys were just able to open?
Everything was still shut down. We were like, you know what, we're just gonna move everything back and we're just gonna open. And we did. We weren't supposed to, but we did. And what? My husband said we got to pay the bills. But yeah, as far as jail goes, we had one massive outbreak, I should say, where we had like 300 some positive cases in the facility. I think we only had 3 total deaths though through the whole, like three, and they were all like elderly inmates, have all these underlying health conditions and whatnot. We still currently, I think, have maybe one or two cases, but nobody that's like super sick. They're all inside the facility still. They're not hospitalized. But it was a pain there for a while. We were having to test the entire, like, if there was one positive case in a housing unit, we would have to go test all of them. So it's like testing 60 people, 70 people a night. So that's a pain. And then where I work in intake, we have to rapid test every arrestee that comes in. So everybody that walks through the door, as soon as I see them, I have to swab them and make sure the rapid test comes back negative. Once in a while we get a positive, and then we just isolate them because usually they're not symptomatic. But so it's created more work for us for sure, and I don't foresee that going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
And then it's work.
Yeah. But it sounds like this kind of jives with your personality, right? Are you just kind of like always busy, always doing something type of a person?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to be busy. Otherwise I just sit around and I'm like, is it time to eat yet? And it's never time to eat yet. So I just stay busy and keep going. And yeah, I'm always doing something. I'm never really sitting around.
Yeah. Very cool. So, what is your diet looking like right now?
Well, yesterday and today are 0 carb because I went into the Rising Phoenix totally full, like carbs galore, water galore, totally, like, in my opinion, not the leanest I've ever looked, of course, but I was definitely full. But for the Olympia, we need to obviously bring the best conditioning, the leanest look. So currently no carbs.
Okay.
Weight down, trying to get a little tighter. But usually we had been doing carb cycling. So 2 days, no carbs, 1 day with. Even on the days with, though, it's probably looking like maybe 100 grams total for the day, maybe 150, calculated it, but still not a whole lot, minimal.
Yeah.
So,
Are you putting those carbs like pre and post workout usually when you?
on the days that I get carbs, I have 5 meals a day. I get carbs at every meal. So yeah.
Yeah. So are you in your off season, are you pretty strict about your diet too, or are you doing like macro matching type stuff?
I stay pretty regimented. I still follow my plan, but I'll throw a cheat meal in here and there if I feel like it.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm off work on Wednesday morning, that's when my cravings are the hardest. I'm like, I just want to eat something good because I don't feel stressed, but I'm probably subconsciously stressed. So I just want to eat garbage. But usually in the off season, I stay pretty strict, minus a little treat here and there.
Nice.
I don't want to get too fat because I know how hard it is to go from fat to lean. So I try to stay within like 15 pounds of my stage weight. So that way when I'm in prep, I don't have to kill myself to get stage ready.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I still do cardio every day in my off season just to maintain my conditioning somewhat.
Is that like a morning fasted or what, or is it kind of random? Yeah.
Morning fasted always.
Yeah. How long are you on is it a treadmill? What are you doing?
I 99% of the time do the stair climber.
Okay.
I stair climb for 45 minutes every morning in the off season. In the contest season, of course, Shelby tells me how much time to do. Currently we're doing 60 minutes, but
yeah,
that's ever changing as well, depending on how I look. So
right. Very cool. So forgive me for asking this, have you been on the Olympia stage?
Never.
Okay.
This will be my first time. So I'm super stoked. A little bit nervous, but not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Once I get there and see everything, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh. Like I honestly still can't even believe that it's happening.
That's fantastic. I think that it should be like, it should feel like a dream, you know?
I just remember like years ago, like 2013, when I would go and watch the Olympia, and I was like, oh my gosh, this like, and now to think that I'm actually going there and competing there, I can't wrap my head around it yet. Like, that's going to be me up there. I'm not just going to be running around the expo, you know,
Yeah.
looking at
looking at the screens.
Yeah.
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 Is your husband going to go with you then? Is this going to be?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Is he pretty excited too?
Yeah, super stoked. He just competed at the North Americans 2 or 3 weeks ago, whenever that was. And that was his first time on a national stage in 18 years. And he took 6th out of 30 in the first call out. So I think next year when he does the USA's, I see big things happening.
Yeah.
So,
that's very exciting.
yeah.
I keep thinking about all the people that are going to be doing women's physique now for the Olympia, and it's just going to be so cool. Like, there's just such a great compilation of women.
Yeah. I think our roster's 20, I think it was 24. They posted it yesterday.
Okay.
The official 24 long. So it'll be good. That's for sure. And everybody's like, well, how do you think you're going to do? I'm like, I don't know, because everybody is the best of the best. So I have no idea. Depends how everybody shows up on that day.
Yeah. Women's physique is always really interesting because it's the one that you get the most variety of physiques in. You know what I mean? Because you kind of look like figure, kind of what they look like, more bikini. But women's physique, because you can adjust your posing and everything, and then obviously there's not height weight limits or anything like that. So yeah, it's super fascinating. Every time you see, it's like, I think it's got to be one of the hardest to judge it, because you are kind of comparing apples with oranges a lot of times. Yeah, it'll be good. So what was I going to ask you? So have you ever cheated during a prep? Like with your food?
No.
Yeah.
Of course everybody has. Not often.
Yeah.
But I have. I'm not gonna lie.
She's totally real.
Yeah.
Nice. But then you tell
There's been times where I come home and I eat what I'm supposed to eat as well. And I'm like, I am like literally starving and I will not sleep if my stomach is eating itself. So it's only been like maybe a couple of times.
Yeah.
But I've definitely done it. I think everybody has. We're all guilty.
Yeah.
So
it's good to know that you're real.
Yeah. It's hard. It's rough. I'm not going to lie. If it were easy, everybody would do it,
Right. No, I know. I mean, I think that's why I love the training aspect of it. I'm not a big fan of, the hardcore dieting. Cause like you said, it's uncomfortable, and you get I get mean and I don't like.
I'm cranky. When I'm starving, the only thing that helps me is caffeine. Like caffeine is like a mood stabilizer for me. Like if I am really grumpy and really on edge, just give me like a little 200 caffeine pill and it will totally change my demeanor. Or give me an Americano. I don't know. Something with caffeine. When I'm starving, I need caffeine.
Yeah. Well, because then you feel so tired. And I know like what you said too, it's the nighttime before bed. Because then you start thinking my sleep is gonna be shit tomorrow. It's gonna affect my training. And then your head starts going, all because you're hungry.
Right. And then I'm at the nights that I go to work too, I'm like, I can feel myself start getting a little edgy with these people. I'm like, I'm just hungry. It's just because I'm hungry. And I try to just chill. But
oh, that would be, yeah. I would imagine that would be pretty tough. But you only have three more weeks, and then probably, a couple weeks, and they'll get you, and then Shelby will get you back up to weight. So we'll start to mitigate all of those feels. What's your plans then after the Olympia? Is it another kind of year off season, and then you'll compete closer to the Olympia again?
Honestly, I don't have a plan yet for after. I'll definitely take at least probably 3 or 4 months
Yeah.
of an off season, but I don't have a show planned yet. I kind of want to feel it out and see how the Olympia goes. And then once we're done, I'll decide. I'd like to stay West Coast though, because I'd rather, we prefer to just drive to the show versus flying. Flying is a difficult.
It does cause it. I mean, some people are just fine with that, but if you have to, like it can mess with water, and the flights are always delayed and the timing of everything. So you aren't, so are you disappointed that the Olympia is not in Vegas? Because it probably would be closer for you, right? Or would you still have to fly?
No, we would drive. It would be, I think Vegas is like a 5-hour drive from where we're at.
Yeah.
We've driven there a lot of times before, but I'm excited that it's in Orlando because I've never been to Florida. Yeah. So for that reason, I'm like, we're going to have a little vacation out of it afterward as well. We're staying an extra few days after the show. So
nice.
Go somewhere else, go somewhere new.
From what I hear, because, if you've probably been to the Olympia, as a spectator, there's a lot of driving around back and forth to different areas when it's in Vegas. That's like the caveat of it being over there. So, I mean, having everything all in one spot saves time and money, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would be good. What else was I going to ask you? What are you doing for like your rest days and for recovery?
Unfortunately, I'm terrible at both of them. So the 2 days that I don't train are Monday and Tuesday, and that's because I work those nights back to back. So I don't really do anything. I don't even hardly get any sleep because I work 12-hour shifts. So I go to work Sunday night, get home Monday morning, usually around like 8:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there. I go to bed around 10, and then I usually get up around 3 so I can get my cardio done before I go back to work again. So I only sleep about 4 or 5 hours between shifts, and I don't really do anything for recovery. So those are my days off, are only because there's just not enough hours in the day to train in order to get a little bit of a nap and go back to work. So I'm terrible.
Your recovery is just like standing on your feet and talking to inmates.
Yeah. Yeah. My recovery is hanging out at jail.
That helps a lot.
That's my stress relief, is going there and realizing that, wow, I'm doing pretty good. These people definitely not. Yeah.
It's a nice, like, it's very Buddha, where you're just like, things could be so much worse because they're obviously so much worse for other people. So
exactly.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, is there anything that you want to plug, or any messages that you want to, send out to the women who are listening and men who are listening? But what do you think about this whole journey that you have been on so far? What's kind of your assessment? What have you learned?
You can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
Cut and dry it's the truth. Like, so many people are like, oh, I want to do what you do. I'm like, you can, you just have to literally dedicate your entire life to it.
Yeah.
It's totally possible. We came across a picture from when I was like 14 years old, when I was at the lake, and I was a little fat, 140-pound, big old panza, and I'm like, that's how I used to look, just like just like the average person. We all start somewhere, but if you put your entire being into it, anybody can do it. It's just, it takes a lot of mental strength for sure. So
yeah. I think that's one of the things that I love most about, these interviews and talking to the athletes, is because you recognize that, this being an athlete and what you do really does come from like this headspace of just being very strong and driven. Don't you? Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think that this, you having this realization of, like I used to watch these women and now I'm going to be up there. I think that moment's going to be amazing for you when you step up there. I'm super excited.
Gives me the goosebumps just thinking about it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's see. So let's do, we'll do our 10 questions and then I'll let you go. Okay. All right. What's your favorite music style?
Believe it or not, I like country and I like rap. A little bit both.
Before we were starting, your music was playing through on the computer and it was some pretty good rap.
Yeah. And it's like super old. Whatever is downloaded on there, it's still playing right now. I don't even know how to turn it off. But yeah.
It's really funny.
Like squat to country. I don't know why. It helps me like stay calm. Everything else lift to is usually rap.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. All right. What is your favorite and your least favorite thing about social media?
My favorite, oh gosh. I like watching the hardworking, inspiring women, like in my opinion, Michaela Aycock. Kind of lights a little fire under my ass. What I hate is people that filter every single picture that they post and people that are just on there to stir up drama.
Yeah. Who usually don't have a profile picture.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that or yeah.
You're like, I don't want to get into.
Yeah, there's more that I want to say, but I should not say it on here, so I'm just gonna keep my mouth closed.
It's tough. It can get really frustrating. I think it's good to know when you need a break, like when to turn it off.
Yeah.
Do you do that when you get closer to like stepping on stage? Do you kind of not pay attention to who your like quote unquote competition is, or maybe do you look at food? Like, what are you doing?
Look at food every day or every night rather. We're having our last meal together and I'm always looking at dessert. I'm like, oh, look at that. Or look at this macaroni and cheese. Oh, that looks so good. I'm always looking at all the food and for whatever, probably just because I open all the bakery Instagrams, so they all pop up on my search thing. I have all these cookie places. We bought cookies from PDX Cookie and My Cookie Dealer and OCD. Like I have all these cookies stashed in a freezer at my house just because I keep buying stuff. And then after the show, like this happens every time. I buy all this stuff and then after the show, I'm like, I don't want that anymore.
It's the psychology of like, once you can have it, you don't want
it.
Yeah.
Because once I can eat like my rice, like a decent amount of rice with chicken, like I don't care to have a cookie. But when I'm starving, like it sounds so good. I just want all.
I always go back to this dieting statement that Missy Truscott had said, that she's like, whenever I'm having a craving, she's like, if I'm hungry, she goes, I just eat my next meal, which you can't like necessarily cram them all together as you get closer to the end of prep, but it makes a lot of sense. Like if you do have like a chicken and rice and veg meal in you, like usually a craving will go away. You know what I mean? Right. You're just hungry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you try to find like a snack that matches it doesn't, you're trying to satisfy the craving instead of the actual hunger. And then you're still going to want to like eat whatever. So. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. You're like, just having my normal meals, kind of squashes the craving. So that makes a lot of sense. So we kind of talked about this. Do you have any phobias besides dark water?
I don't think so. That's probably the scariest thing I've ever encountered in life.
Is there like people on, isn't there people on like kind of boats around to watch over, make sure that somebody's not going under?
Yeah, but how can they see anything? The water is black. Like I saw them out there. Like I would come up and like for air and look around, and I'm like, yeah, there's people here, but they're not gonna know. I mean, there's hundreds of bodies in the water. Like if one body goes missing, or how are they gonna see them or find them?
Yeah, I've seen those too, and it's like a pack of salmon swimming through the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, when they blow the horn to take off, everybody like tramples each other at once. So I was like buried under I don't even know how many people, and I couldn't come up for air, so I was panicking. And then of course I had goggles on, but I can't see anything because it's black. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how it ends. This is how I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die at the bottom of a lake, probably being eaten by some swimming turtle or I don't know, fish. Yeah, that was the one and only time I ever did that. Did lots of duathlons where you just swim in a pool and then run around a park. Those are fun, but those are just little local events. So.
Like that's like glamping versus camping though.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, but I'm not going to get eaten by a bear either.
At least I can see in the water.
Oh, no, thank you. Where are you in the birth order with your siblings?
I only have one brother. He's a year and a half older than me. So
Okay.
that's it. Small family.
Yeah. So you're youngest. That's cool.
Yeah.
What is a gym pet peeve like you have?
Well, being a gym owner,
Yeah.
every day I go in there and there's just things not put away. Drives me nuts. Are people that leave the machines loaded with plates, like the leg press. I'll walk in, there'll be 5 plates on each side of the leg press, or plates on the floor. Just when people deadlift and they put the mats across the platform, they don't put the mats back. They leave the specialty bars out on the platforms. Like if you just put it back where you got it from, the place would stay a lot more organized. So every day when I show up to train myself, I spend like a good 20 minutes just cleaning up so that it looks presentable in there. Because my husband says I'm OCD too. So when I walk in and things are just totally unorganized, I have to fix it before I can start training. So
yeah. Well, I think when you have a chaotic environment and then you're trying to follow a program, the two conflict. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm trying to do this, but I don't have my environment set up for what I need to do. So you're thinking ahead. But those are very frustrating. I always wonder that too, like, or people, sometimes they don't even, like they'll leave bars that are like clipped, you know what I mean? With like the way, you're just like, really, you thought somebody else was just gonna hop on there and start off flatting 3 plates? Like, so it's so weird.
Or when people heaviest bar, we have one bar in our gym that's like 85 pounds.
Okay.
And it's awkwardly shaped and it's hard to move. And I hate when people leave it loaded on one of the racks. Cause like if any small girl came in there, she could not move. Like it's hard for me to move it. So I'm like, if you're going to use that bar, put it back when you're done, because it's not easy to move.
Is it a buffalo bar or like a safety squat?
It's a cambered bar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's like super weird to carry it. And so when I come in there and it's on one of the racks, I'm like, just that's probably like my number one thing that just makes me crazy. I'm like,
Melissa's like going back through the camera footage.
I'm like, I will find you.
Like, I work at a jail, right? Like,
yeah.
Is it a jail or is it like a prison? Like, where is it that you work?
It's a jail, the county jail.
Okay. Do they have like gyms or anything there? Like, how is that set up?
They do. So there's a training center that's outside of the facility, like back behind the actual jail. I've never been in there because it's only for the COs, but there is a gym back there somewhere.
Okay. I was just curious if we're trying to keep our inmates in shape or.
Oh, the inmates, they don't have a gym. No, they have, I think housing units have like a pull-up bar and like a Roman chair, like a combo
Oh,
thing.
okay. So they
I've
can,
seen that, but a lot of times they just do like they just do air squats in their cell, or they do triceps on the ladder in their cells.
oh yeah.
And then we get injuries from that type of stuff. Like, oh, I slipped and fell and busted my head on the ladder when I was doing tricep, you know. Yeah. And then we have to send them to the hospital to get sutured because they have a big old gash on their head or something. Yeah. There's never a dull moment.
We should have you like come back and you could tell us about some of the incidences that happen.
Oh, there's been a lot of crazy things I've seen since I've worked there.
Well, I'm thankful for what you do because I'm sure, like you said, and you love it too. So, I mean, yeah, it sounds like you'll be there for a while. And your husband seems to be handling things with the gym, right? So, gyms.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. You what kind of animals? Are you a dog or a cat person?
Dogs. We have two bullies, American bullies. They're a year and a half old now ish. So yeah, we have two little pups.
Did you get them at the same time?
They're brother and sister.
Aw.
Yeah.
Do you have pictures of them on your Instagram?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
There's,
I'll have to look back.
yeah. I know there's at least a couple.
Yeah. All right.
Probably, but I
break up the training videos with a little puppy cuteness.
Yeah.
Well, this goes back to what we said. Man, I don't know. Would you rather hike a mountain or swim in an oasis?
Mountain.
Clear blue water,
Yeah.
though, Melissa.
No, I still want to hike a mountain.
That's really funny. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Currently Chipotle.
Ooh.
So like the last like week, maybe even longer than a week before the Phoenix show that I just did, every night Shelby was having me eat a 1,500 calorie free meal.
Yeah.
So every night I was eating a gigantic Chipotle burrito, 1,500 calories worth. Oh, it was delicious. So currently that's my favorite. Because they don't upset my stomach.
Yeah.
Digest well. I wake up just feeling normal the next morning versus having like a burger and fries. It just like, ugh, I feel terrible. So Chipotle burrito is where it's at for me.
We were at my parents this yesterday, and we went to Wendy's. We went through the Wendy's drive-thru on the way home. I can't tell you when the last time I had like fast food like that. And I got home and I was just like, I was gonna go to the gym, it was kind of late, and I was just like, I'm like, I do not feel good. Like I was so tired. I felt like somebody had drugged me. It was awful. Yeah.
That's eat burgers or pizza. I love pizza and I like burgers, but it just makes me feel like garbage. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you a sushi person?
Not actual sushi, but I will eat. I'll eat the rolls that have like cooked stuff in them, but my husband loves like just the sashimi and nigiri and that stuff. Ugh, I can't do it. So we go out to sushi and I just eat like the really bad fried delicious things and he eats the clean things.
The tempura shrimp and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. I can, no problem. But if you give me like a slab of raw fish, no, I'm not gonna. I tried it and tried it. Yeah.
To each their own. It's all good.
Yeah.
What's your favorite training session to do, like body part or whatever?
Definitely squats or
Yeah.
legs. Legs my favorite day. Yeah.
What is your heavy leg day or your dynamic leg day?
My heavy leg day.
So what does that look like right now? Is it like your last one? What did that kind of look like?
Let's see. That was on Monday. I squatted. I worked up to 80% for, I think, a triple. So it was like, what did I squat? I think I squatted 295 for a triple or something like that. Or maybe it was 75%. I can't remember, but that was right 2 days post show. Usually it takes me longer than that to come back post show, but everything felt good. So I just,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
So you squatted, then like, what are some of your accessory moves that you follow up with?
So I had leg extensions, 4x25, leg press, 4x25, hack squats, 4x20, and then ended with lying leg curls, 4x25.
Is the high reps does she go through a variety of rep ranges, or was there a purpose, or is that how you're going to be moving towards the show with higher reps?
It seems like lately that's where my rep range has been, is like the like 15 to 25. So I think that's just where we're at going into just not super heavy weight, but just really trying to get a massive pump.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, this isn't really like a muscle building time either.
Right.
So
Trying
yeah.
to get as much blood into the muscle as possible, and it's working. It was painful. Yeah.
Burns. It burns.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. So who would you like to see interviewed on the podcast? Who do you think women can learn from or would like to hear from? Or who is somebody you admire?
Michaela Aycock.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've reached her. Yeah.
Artist, in my opinion, humble, classy. I finally got to meet her in person at the Rising Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I just think she is women's bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, she is a beautiful, all around beautiful person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I have reached out to her a couple of times and she said, I'll do it. But then she's like so busy, especially the cows and everything. So
yeah.
But I'll do it again per your request.
Yeah. Yeah. I really look up to her. I admire her. So
yeah, I don't know anybody who doesn't. She's the she's a regular female John Meadows. Like nobody can say anything bad about her for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, Melissa, where can people find you? What's your Instagram handle?
At Miss Beast, MISSBEAST 25. That's the only social media I have. I'm not on Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
I was is it _ IFBB Pro? I forgot. I didn't know I put that part on there. Yeah. Excuse me. I can't.
Yeah. Claim your title.
Yeah. Soon to be _ Miss Olympia.
Yes. Yes. Speak it into existence. That's what Melissa Brodsky always says. Speak it into existence.
Yeah, I like her too. I haven't really met her yet, but
yeah,
works with Shelby as well, and I watch her journey.
She is fun. She is like, again, another beautiful soul. There's so many great women in this industry. Yeah. So a lot of respect for all of them, all of you guys working so hard. So it's very cool. And it's just fun to watch. Thank you for letting us be a part of your journey and for, the stuff that you put out there on social media and sharing your story on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So, hey, everybody, you can find me on Instagram at buffcake22. You can follow the podcast at Women's Maximum Fitness. And just a reminder that healthy looks different on everybody. Have a great day.